Alright, let's start again. It says a bag contains 3 red, 2 yellow, and 4 blue marbles. If one is selected at random, what's the probability that it is yellow? How about the probability that it's not blue? Alright, so how many marbles do we have total? 3 plus 2 plus 4, so we have 9 marbles total. 9 total. Alright, so the probability that it's yellow will be how many yellow ones are in it, which are 2, divided by the 9 total marbles in the bag. So the probability that it's yellow would be 2 out of 9. Then next it says, what's the probability that it's not blue? Well, there are still 9 marbles, so I'm going to put that in. How many of the 9 marbles are not blue? Well, the red ones and the yellow ones are not blue, so that would be 5. So the probability that it's not blue would be 5 out of 9. Alright, so let's look at the next problem here. It says a 6-sided die is rolled. What is the probability of rolling a number that's greater than 4, or what's the probability of rolling one that's less than 2? So greater than 4 would be if I roll a 5 or a 6. True? Because greater than 4 would be 5 and 6. 5 and 6 are both greater than 4. So how many, that would be 2 different sides, and how many sides are on the die altogether? 6. So of the 6 sides, only 2 of them are greater than 4, 5 and 6. So it'd be 2 over 6, and of course that reduces to be 1/3. Okay, so the probability that when you roll just one die that it's greater than 4, since the only way that could happen is if you roll a 5 or a 6, that's 2 different possibilities of the 6 sides on the die. So that's why we get 2 out of 6, which reduces to be 1/3. The next question says, what's the probability that it's going to be less than 2? On the die, what is less than 2? The only thing that's less than 2 is 1, right? 1 is the only one. So there's only one choice. That's the only side that's less than 2. So there's only one of those out of the 6. So your chances of rolling something that's less than 2 is 1 out of 6. All right, next it says 2 dice are rolled. What's the probability that their sum is 4 or their sum is 9? All right, now you do not have to do this every single time, but just for illustration purposes, I'm going to list all the possibilities that you could have if you, when 2 die are rolled. You could have a 1 and a 2. You could have, let's start with 1 and a 1. You could have 1 and a 1. You could have 1 and a 2. You could have 1 and a 3. You could have 1 and a 4. You could have 1 and a 5. You could roll 1 and a 6. You could also roll a 2 and a 1, a 2 and a 2, a 2 and a 3, a 2 and a 4, a 2 and a 5, a 2 and a 6. Or the first number could be 3, so you get 3 and a 1, 3 and a 2, 3 and a 3, 3 and a 4, 3 and a 5, 3 and a 6. Or it could be a 4 and a 1, a 4 and a 2, a 4 and a 3, a 4 and a 4, a 4 and a 5, a 4 and a 6. Could be a 5 and a 1, a 5 and a 2, a 5 and a 3, a 5 and a 4, a 5 and a 5, a 5 and a 6. Could be a 6 and a 1, a 6 and a 2, 6 and a 3, 6 and a 4, 6 and a 5, and 6 and a 6. Notice I have 6 going across, 6 going down. So there are 36 choices. Okay, now you can just write them all down like this, and then you could say, which one of them have a sum of 4? Well, it's easiest just to think of, there are 36 possibilities, okay? So in the bottom of your fraction is going to be a 36. Now, how many have a sum of 4? What constitutes a sum of 4? Well, 1 and 3 is a sum of 4, and 3 and 1 is a sum of 4. 2 and 2 is a sum of 4. Any other choices that we have? I think that those are the only ones. 3 and 1, 2 and 2, and 1 and 3. Those are the only ones that add up to be 4. So we have 3 choices, so it's 3 out of 36, which would actually be 1/12 that would reduce, because 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 6 twice. All right. Then it says, how about the sum is 9? Now, in this case, I was showing you if you wrote them all down, you could circle them. But you should know that if you have 2 dice, it's 6 times 6 is 36. You always have 36 choices. So let's say you didn't know all of these, okay? So you just sat and thought about what 2 die, what kind of sums could you get that would be 9? Well, you could get 3 and 6, and you could get 6 and 3. You could get 4 and 5, and you could get 5 and 4. You could get 2 and 7, but 7 isn't on your die. So I think 3 and 6, 6 and 3, 4 and 5, 5 and 4. Can you think of anything else? I don't think anything else will add to be 9. So it's those 4 choices. So that would be 4 out of 36, which would be 1/9 as the probability that their sum is 9. Okay, so that's how you consider this. You just think of the possibilities, and you have to think of them going both ways.